Welcome, everybody, to another fabulous Tech Tuesday. I am Matthew, the Body Chemist Mueller, reporting to you live from the center of the Volume Photography Universe, Minneapolis, Minnesota. I have Dylan with me. Dylan has been on our team for a couple of years now, and he is some fancy title. I think it's like a client success manager. But long story short, Dylan has come on. He's playing a pretty critical role with our sports work. And today I was kind of talking about, we did a Facebook Live on my page the other day where we were talking about all the graduations we were working through. And so we are doing, I think we had like 26 graduations in 10 days. And I know for some people like Mark Homerding, 26 graduations is like a busy Wednesday. But for us, that was like a pretty big push. And I talked to a couple of other people. I know there's a lot of various softwares and things that kind of can help you work through some stuff. And we tried some new tools this year. And it's some stuff that we actually got for another reason, but it's played a pretty critical role with our graduations too. And one of the things I'm proud of that we do is we create what we call legacy prints and photos over time. We took over a company, SportsStar, just about 4 years ago. And one of the hardest things before we acquired SportsStar to compete against them was that like whenever we showed up to go and talk to a league about them, they'd always talk about how SportsStar created these legacy prints, these photos over time, and that like if they ever were to let go of SportsStar, they would lose them at least for like 5 or 6 years until we had the back catalog. So as we took it over, we found out like just how incredibly labor intensive this process was. And it was just kind of one of those things we were grinding out for a little bit and trying to seek some better options. And at SPAC last year, we got turned on to the guys over at Timestone. And it was kind of one of those things that we saw at the trade show walking through. And Dylan saw it and Josh saw it. And I was like, oh my God, this might change our life for the photos over time. And now it's actually helping us a lot with our graduations. So we're going to kind of turn you guys over to Dylan, is the guy who's learned a lot about it. But I mean, we can just kind of talk about it too. But one of the things that's interesting about Timestone is Timestone allows us to pull in all of our back images, and then it allows us to sort by name, by file name, and or it has a local based pattern match, which is the politically correct way of saying facial recognition. So it has a local based facial rec that allows us to dig through our images, and especially on some of these older SportsStar jobs, like we didn't have data on all of them, and making sure that a couple of them, like old Excel spreadsheets, have gone corrupt and they've been bouncing around from server to server, and just it's been a thing. And so I want to share with you guys kind of some of the things that we've done with, not we, that Dylan has done with Timestone, and then show you guys how it's saving us a ton of work and helping us out. Is there anything I kind of missed on that?
Yeah, no, it's been a really great tool for us to help save a lot of time and also feel really confident in the products that we're churning out. So yeah, like Matthew said, we kind of use it for two big things: the photos over time product, and then for identifying kids. We've been using that a lot in graduation. So I wanted to dive in and show you what it looks like to do these things. I have Greta on the computer kind of controlling Timestone. So we will be kind of showing you what it looks like, how we're using it to be effective. So we're going to start with what we're doing with our graduations, which has been revolutionary for us. To start, we always need to have a back catalog of images. So we're uploading all of the portraits from the yearbooks, and we're doing it for a handful of different years. So as many years as we've taken those photos, up to 4 years, is what we're uploading in, because Timestone will look through the most recent years for a facial match. And then if it doesn't have this year's portrait, it'll look to last year's, then the year before, et cetera, et cetera. So Greta, so
even if we have kids that didn't, because in Minnesota's a little bit different than I think a lot of places around the country, where I know like cherished memories in California. I know Birdie out in New Jersey. A lot of you guys are dealing with contract seniors where your studio is still taking the high school senior photos. It's like Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, and Iowa. It's really, really, really uncommon for a district or a school to have contract seniors. It's more likely and kind of part of our cultural norm here that your family just goes and picks somebody. So we don't always have access to the senior photos like we would normally with every other grade. And some of them come in for their ID pictures. Some of the schools that we work with just use the 11th grade photo as the 12th grade photo just for ID purposes. And if a kid comes in, he gets a new one. So that's one of the big reasons why we do this multi-year.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with just what it looks like when we open up a yearbook job. So Greta, let's open up Wayzata High School 24-25 yearbook photos, just so we can get a little bit familiar with what this looks like and whatnot. So we'll look up 24-25 yearbook. And so as it's opening, you'll see that we have all of the images, and we also have them attached to subjects. So we've imported with those images through a CSV file, their name, their student ID, their teacher, their grade, all of this important information. And they have a couple of different views for it. So we're in the image view right now. You can see the various images. If we go up and we change the mode to our details mode, then we can also see what it looks like with just the Excel spreadsheet. So we'll click all in the top left, and that'll show us everything. And it's a big job. This is about 4,000 kids, I think. So it does take a little bit of time to load. But as it's loading, you can kind of then see going from left to right, that first column that has data, that's showing if there's an image for that kid or not. So you can see there are quite a few kids with no images. Looks like, lines 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all those don't have images. And then as we're moving to the right, those last 3 columns to the right, those are the first name, the last name. And then I believe it's a bit small on my screen, but I believe that's a staff. So that's the grade. And then those are our staff members. So that's kind of what it looks like. That's what we're importing in. Now let's go in and let's open up that graduation job. So Wayzata graduation. And what we're doing is TimeZone works under a collection format. So we're basically telling the software that these various portrait jobs are connected with this graduation job, so it knows which photos to look through to find a match based on the Face ID. If we did have student ID numbers associated with this, some type of unique ID, we can also attach the kids that way, but we're choosing the Face ID. So let's go into the images mode at the top. And
one of the things I want to clarify too, just on this, is with us, with our graduation stuff, we kind of have, a lot of people kind of have different workflows and different ways of doing it. With this particular school, we take a photograph of them with a dummy diploma prior to going on stage. So every kid, and there's 2 sides of the stage. So it's left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And every kid before they go on stage gets this dummy diploma that they give back to us.
So Greta, let's zoom in on one of these photos with that bottom left tool. So you can see here, this is what one of our photos looks like. It's a little bit hard to see, but there's actually a blue box that's around her face. When you hover over it, it becomes a little bit easier. So that means that I've already face detected this person. So the software will automatically face detect. One of the things that you do have to navigate is that you can see there's all these faces in the back, and it will pick up on some of those faces as well. So there's a manual tool. It's pretty quick, but you do have to just unselect the faces that you don't want to search for. And we've also done this face select tool on all of the portrait jobs that we've pre-uploaded in before our graduation. And what we do is we add them all to this collection, and then if we highlight this photo, if we just click on it, and then we go to images at the top, and then go to identify from job collection. It's about 8 down. it'll kind of run a little bit of, identifying all the jobs together. And then when it's finished, it'll basically show us the images side by side, and it'll say, we found an image that is matched to this subject, Dylan Singer, and then we found this image that isn't matched to a subject. Do these look like the same person? Yes, I'd like to confirm that. So if we click on that line there at the top, yep. So you can see on the right, that's the image that we found from the portrait. And on the left, that's the image that we have from graduation. And those do look like the same person. So we would hit confirm on the bottom, and that would match those two people together. And it would transfer over the information from the portrait into the new graduation. So now we know exactly who this kid is. And after we know that, we can export the images with custom file names and, do last name, first name, image name. And all of a sudden, we've named all of these kids. We know exactly what galleries they should go in. It makes it much, much easier to sort through.
Perfect. And some of the other stuff that, for us, that's cool with the software is, I know there's some e-commerce providers that have it, and we don't use them. So we've chosen not to try to, hack in and use a system that we aren't going to monetize for them. That doesn't really feel ethical to us. So we try to stay kind of within our lane. So this is an annual fee we pay for TimeStone. It's very reasonable. I don't know off the top of my head what it is, but it's different than a lot of other workflow solutions that we found, because this is still working. We don't use this as our e-commerce provider. We aren't using this as part of our standard workflow. We're just using it for these niche kind of pickup jobs, which I think is important. But one of the other things that I love about it is all of this is we pay for a license. It's good on one computer. So we have one computer that's licensed with it. We have one computer that's our TimeStone computer. And all of the facial rec and stuff that we're doing is on the local computer. So we're not uploading all the files over servers, which brings down the expense and also increases the student data privacy on that.
Yeah. The other thing that's worth noting is that there's a cool feature that will allow us to either retain the face data or immediately after looking at the faces to discard that face data, and it assigns a 16-character code instead of the face data. So that's also helpful if there are privacy issues that you're dealing with state by state. That can help with that as well.
Yeah, so it basically creates a student ID number for sports. If you don't have a student ID number for sports, now each kid has their own student ID number.
Yeah. So the other way that we're using this, in addition to,
let me know when I should bring her back on.
In addition to the graduation and kind of, identifying who's who, is when we know that the same kid has come to the same baseball league for 10 years. We want to provide these photos over time products. Before this software, it was an incredibly manual process. We had to find each image. We had to download each image from various different jobs. Then we had to put it into Photoshop, make the product, and then print, and then double check, make sure we had everything, and then print it.
The problem with that was that no matter how hard we tried, there were still inherently issues with kids that we missed, and which is embarrassing. It's embarrassing to work really hard on something and then you find out you messed up on 5 kids. Now, you don't really think about the 195 kids you got perfect, but the 5 kids you got wrong kind of sit with you on it. You got to fix stuff and get it back to the league. So that's a pain in the butt. But the other reason why we've had so many issues with it was we acquired 2 small companies over the years. So we acquired SportsStar and another one called Clicks. And so we've merged all of our Kemet Mueller photography data, all of our Clicks, all of our SportsStar. SportsStar kind of had its own proprietary stuff. Clicks used a different company for e-commerce. Kemet Mueller Photography's used a couple of different ones. So the problem that we've had and why it's so manual is that, and I don't think this is weird, but we don't have one consistent thing across all 3 companies for the last 15 years. And the proprietary stuff that SportsStar had made, obviously, we haven't been paying for updates and services on that. And so some of that software is just really kind of fallen apart. So I think between all of the companies and all of the years, there's probably 6, 7, 8 different e-commerce providers that we've had images through, and some of them even predate e-commerce before we ever did it. So
Yeah, the other piece on to just layer on top of that with issues that we were having is we're searching by the kids' names, but Thomas might have been registered as Thomas, then Tom, then Tommy, and it's almost impossible to know all of these different variations. So using a Face ID to figure out who these kids are has been tremendously helpful to kind of mitigate those issues. So I'll bring Greta back. We're going to open up a new job, a sports job. We'll do Apple Valley Baseball 2025. That should be right at the top, I think. And so when we open this up, you can see that the software is very much a similar thing. We've already gone in and we've uploaded all of our various years. I think we uploaded for this one like 2016 until 2025 because some of those kids are in baseball for a really long time.
It's a lot of years.
It's a lot of years. Yeah, you start at a real young age, do some T-ball. But what we've done is connected all of these jobs together. So again, it knows all of these jobs are the same kids, and we have to sort through them to figure out which kid is which. So Greta, I'll have you go into details mode again. And in details mode, on the left-hand side on the bottom, you can see that we've added in some custom information. So what's really cool about this software is it allows you to really make custom products that feel really personalized, but they're made automatically. So we've inputted in the year that these images were taken. We've inputted in a couple of images for like a background for this product, for the logo of the league, for our logo. And we've also uploaded in their league name, and then it's pulling in the data that's their name that's associated with the most current job, so their name in 2025. So you can see all that on the left-hand side. Now, Greta, let's go into point and click mode. So if we go into point and click mode, this is an example of the product that we're able to make. So all of this is fully customizable. Those years are the exact years that this kid played baseball with this league. So you can see that he actually skipped 2020 and 2021, and it still was able to pull those images that were before that. So it's doesn't have to be in a consecutive years. And that's what that product looks like. That background image is a custom background image for this job. That logo is custom for this job. It also, the Face ID allows you to crop consistently. So you can crop based on face size. So we're able to do that in this software. Again, what Matthew was saying about pulling from different companies who have different cropping guidelines, we're able to make that all symmetrical in here. And it's really quick. So Greta, if you go and change the view, so instead of looking at one of those on the bottom, we're looking at multiple. Yep, there you go. And on the left-hand side where you see all those subjects, you can either make them for each kid individually, or you can make them for groups of kids. So if you go into folder subjects, that tab right there, we can click any team and then make all of the products for that team all at once. So select a team, and then just to the right of that, we'll scroll down in that list, and it's called Arlo Test. That's the one that we use to make this. And it's going to sort through and it's going to make all of them at once. Let's make those big again so we can see what they look like, and scroll through them. And you can see that each of them have different numbers of images, and it's automatically chosen the right template for the right number of images. It's automatically matched the years to the right images, the name, all of that, while keeping a consistent look. And we were able to build these templates inside of the software and make it look like this.
Perfect. All right, we kick Greta off for a little bit. So that is what we are doing for our little company and how we're using TimeStone, like the facial rec stuff. This is like knocked out hundreds of hours of labor for us. It's was an amount of money to get it, but we are definitely money ahead. And not only that, the thing for us is the consistency and the accuracy and the speed. I mean, it's like we can go in now, and it used to be where we'd go and pull a job that we'd done for 15 years. And it would take a week to 2 weeks for those guys to dig out the images when they aren't shooting, to find them, to build the templates. They'd have to do everything by hand, size stuff. was a nightmare. But it was also something that's very important to us. So I'm glad that we were able to find a new way to do it that wasn't going to kill us on the labor side. So
yeah. One other thing that we're really excited for moving forward, next year will be our first school season using the software. And inevitably, there are kids who we don't know exactly who they are. And this software will allow us, just like you saw for graduation, to be able to identify these kids without reaching out to the schools and saying, hey, we didn't catch who this kid was. So that'll also really save us a lot of back and forth and also help our process become better. And that's another way that we're looking forward to using this in the months to come.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Dylan.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm your biggest fan. Hope you guys have a good week. Kick some butt. We are wrapping up. We finished our last graduation yesterday. Thank the Lord. And we got like 3 more weeks of sports work until we're on Easy Street. So keep after it. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.